you guys for your top 10 Marvel movies, and we got some pretty interesting results. So after dozens of submissions, we're here to give you your top 10 MCU films. Doodle, do the dandy.
Bang, bang.
All right. So again, we asked you guys for your top Marvel movies out there. And again, we got some interesting results back. We kind of articulated them back. We sent it out again this morning to see if we could get any more votes. But Jake, you got it started off with number 10. So what's number 10 in our countdown, Jake?
Number 10 in this week's countdown with a good bit of votes, but just not enough to make it any higher than number 10 was Captain America, the First Avenger. Now, a lot of you may remember this was kind of our intro to Steve Rogers, if you will. And it really was basically Captain America's Iron Man movie. And so, it was his intro. It's when we first got to see Steve. It's when we got the whole backstory of the super soldier serum, everything that happened. And it was pretty much what launched Captain America and launched, Steve Rogers in the MCU. So it's easy to see why I made number 10 on the countdown. I could see why a lot of people would hold it in some high regard, being that it had the first Avenger, and it's when we got Cap, and Cap is such a beloved character overall. What do you guys think? Do you think 10's fair? Do you think it should have been higher? Think it should have been lower?
So much higher.
So much higher.
I can't believe you guys put Captain America, the First Avenger, at number 10. All the Captain America films are the goated films in Marvel, but I'm biased.
Oh yeah, no, you're a big Cap fan, and so I knew with this sitting at 10, you would definitely have something to say.
Yeah, I've qualms. What do you think? What do you think, Kev? Do you think Captain America, First Avenger deserves number 10 on this spot?
I'm gonna agree with the nerd herd here. I think it's appropriate. I think that's where I put it. On my list actually. Yeah, but we'll get into more later.
Yeah.
Just because there's lower.
Been so. Zach says it should be lower.
Cap is the worst Avenger.
Okay, well, there
hot
you go.
takes in chat.
Oh boy.
Hot takes in chat. Well, you guys are the ones that picked this anyway, so you guys should be agreeing with this anyhow.
Yes,
but
Zach,
make sure to use those rage emotes in chat when you get it. And moving on next, number 9 in the countdown, I'll be taking this with Marvel's The Avengers. Yes, the original Avengers film after Captain America, the Incredible Hulk, Iron Man, and Thor. The Avengers teamed up to battle Loki in their first ever team-up adventure. And guys, this was an absolute blockbuster when it hit in 2012. I remember going to see this in college, and man, an incredible film. I do think it should rank there pretty high in the Avengers one. And number 9 still, I think number 9 probably does seem a little bit appropriate for the first Avengers film, especially with all the things that they went on after this and built upon it. But we got some of the best lines in here. I mean, this was some of the times when, Tony Stark, like, point blank addressed Captain America, Captain America calling him out for just being a man in a suit and all those kind of things. What do you guys think about Marvel's Avengers coming in at number 9 in the account for the first one?
I think it's appropriate.
Yeah,
appropriate. Yeah. No, I think I definitely like. Man, I agree. I think it was when the gang was getting together. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And we'll see, obviously, which ones people really liked with the full gang. This is the kind of like kickoff for the Avengers here. There was obviously many other full-blown Avenger movies after this one. This is kind of the setup. I kind of agree with it being pretty much number 9 too. I think it's right there with Captain America. Like it kind of makes sense, those kind of like following each other in a way, because they're both like starters, if you will.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's a good starting movie for the Avengers. It
was a good building.
I think in 2012 this movie would have been higher, but I think everything that came after that, it just kind of started going down the list for me. I was like, wow, it's not that it's a bad movie. It's just
in 2012 this was number 1. This was the best movie that had come out.
Exactly.
Nothing had been done like this before too. Right. Like it set the precedent. But if I'm looking at it in a vacuum, I'm like, it's all right. I mean, in the case of the other Avengers, not just as a movie.
Yeah. Well, I got the next one as well, moving right along in our countdown of your top 10 Marvel MCU films. Number 8 in the Nerd Herds countdown here is Doctor Strange. Yeah, the first appearance of Benedict Cumberbatch's Stephen Strange, where we get his origin story, where he drives off a cliff and then revives his hands with the Ancient One. There's a lot of controversy with this movie, mostly because Tilda Swinton played the Ancient One, which is originally played by a older Asian man. They thought it was like really, progressive at the time to portray it with a woman, but then they ended up being like, well, this is kind of like whitewashing, and then it's like, oh yeah, and then even Tilda Swinton, like after a couple years, is like, yeah, that character probably shouldn't have been a white person, but anyways, hey, it still happened, and it was really cool. We saw a lot of different stuff.
They corrected the mistake in the new Disney Plus. Oh, never mind.
They didn't. No, they've just gone with it. Yeah,
I was totally joking. Of course they fucking didn't.
Yeah, they're not gonna do anything with it. But yeah, I can't wait to see what happens with him in the new Spider-Man Far From Home. But Doctor Strange, yeah, definitely one that really stood out to you guys. Doctor Strange being above Marvel's The Avengers. Jake, do you agree with this? Do you think Doctor Strange is better than The Avengers?
Oh, that's a tough one. I mean, because where they're ranking at, I see like what you're saying. Because like the Avengers was a fucking banger. Doctor Strange was good too. It was the starter. A lot of starters early on in this countdown. Like I think a lot of people like their beginning movie and then the later stages. You know what I mean? Like we've got some kind of weird lull period in the middle of the MCU there. And so like, but no, I think this is fair if we're ranking them all. But. Damn, like I don't know if it's better than the Avengers. I think they're pretty close.
Yeah. What about you, Kev? Do you think Doctor Strange is greater than the Avengers?
I'm getting but I'm getting a little bit nervous about this because there's this is 8, and I'm like, okay, there's movies on here that are better than Doctor Strange that shouldn't have been on here, and now I'm like, oh, okay, this is making me a little nervous.
Yep. It's a little nerve-wracking.
Yeah.
But number 7 is pretty reassuring, right? Right, Kev? You got number 7. What's number Kevin? Number Kevin.
Number 7
in this countdown, Kevin. Give us
it's reassuring that it's reassuring that it's on this list, but not reassuring where it's at for me. Number 7 is Captain America: Winter Soldier. This was my number 1, guys. I mean, you had literally something that basically like shook up the whole MCU, right? Like it had like just like even looking at this movie in a vacuum, it had conspiracy theory. I think you had I think just the portrayal of Cap and the cinematography, how everything was shot, like the line, like this. I watched this movie over and over again when it's on, just like and that says, and I'm generally like not a Captain America fan, but this movie made me a Captain America fan. Like this movie was it. I mean, just like the dynamic between Bucky and Steve, just the whole. I know chat is going crazy right now, but yes, I'm happy that my number 1 made the list. I'm disappointed that it's very low in this top 10.
Number 7, Captain America: Winter Soldier, the only MCU movie on this list that Jake fell asleep in.
Wow!
Fucking boring ass movie.
Really?
I love Winter Soldier. It was political. So this movie was incredibly relevant because this came out right after Edward Snowden revealed everything that was going on behind the scenes in the U.S. government, and then they created a storyline where you had giant flying aircraft carriers that were literally going to delete people for just possibly being bad. Like
it was very much Minority Report.
Incredibly relevant. And then Minority Report mixed with a giant fucking action movie and an origin story for Crossbones. And then shaking up the MCU completely with the Hail Hydra stuff. I mean, it was fantastic. I loved Winter Soldier, and I think it's
not only that,
hands down be higher on this list.
Like this set just ripples, not even just in like the movies, but just in like Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. It made Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. a better show.
It did. It did make it a lot better show. And it was one of those things that like you can't even like. Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. doesn't even go back through and explain it. It's they expect everybody just to walk through Winter
Yes,
Soldier. And
and
I loved it.
that's actually what
I
made
loved
me.
how like it went duh duh, kind of thing. I remember walking out of there
Ironically,
being
that's
like,
what made me watch it.
this would change things in Agents of Shield. It should change things in Agents of Shield, and it immediately
Yeah.
did, and that was really
Yep.
really satisfying to see that happen.
Yeah, yeah. Because spoiler
Um,
alert, sorry, it's called Agents of Shield, and as you know, the movie, there's no more Shield, so they had to figure that out.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
No, Crossbones was seen again. Supersonic Flash. Crossbones shows up in
Ultron.
Age of
No.
Ultron, and you see him there. And I think that he shows up again in Falcon and Winter Soldier as well, doesn't he?
Yes, yeah, he does. He
Yeah,
does.
yeah. So he's come back up a couple of times to be seen again. But number 6 on the countdown is one that I can see why some people would like better than Winter Soldier. It's probably one of them that is arguably I could see as better than Winter Soldier, but I wouldn't put it higher than Winter Soldier. But it is an absolutely fantastic film. What do we have at number 6 there, Jake?
Yeah, we got Thor Ragnarok at number 6, and honestly, I think that's a good placement for it. I would put it above Winter Soldier. Obviously, this was one of the more fun MCU movies in theaters. One of the more like it was a visual banger. Like this one was such a good one, and Tiki Watiti, I think it was one of his first ones he did too, which was like. Which I'm pretty sure he's already greenlit for multiple ones, and so like it's one of those where like such a fun movie. I think the only reason it's not higher is because when you really look at Thor Ragnarok, it's like, was it like, I know it had important things to the MCU. Don't get me wrong on that, right?
Yeah.
Like there were definitely moments, but overall arching, was it just a fun movie, or was it like a good lore builder for the MCU, right? Like I think it was nice to see kind of like Stella got her groove back with Thor in a way, like
for the third Thor movie, I think it needed to be that. I think it needed.
Did,
to be
yeah. I think the other two Thors never
building.
really found their footing, and this one was like, oh, this is what Thor needs to be.
Right, Thor Ragnarok is the only good Thor movie.
It is, and it's the only one on this list for that reason.
And it's funny, I talked to a lot of people who were like Thor fans. Well, and they did not like this movie because they felt it was too comedic. And I was like, no, you obviously don't know who Thor is, like in the comics. Like they wanted like big, ultra masculine, like just stoic Thor, and I'm like, that's not who he is. Like the not only this is just a great movie, it's actually the best representation of his character.
I do. I think it was a good one. I think it's that's
where I had it too, by the way.
It's so middle of the pack that I think 6 is such a great spot.
6 might be a good spot for it.
Yeah.
But number 5, moving above Thor Ragnarok, I recently rewatched this movie and I agree that it is really fantastic. I don't know if I put it at number 5, but Iron Man, the original Iron Man with Robert Downey Jr., the first and original one, of course, where he gets taken in by the terrorist organization known as the 10 Rings. Which would later come to play a much more bigger significance, not only in the third sequel of his movie, but also in Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings. But the first Iron Man movie was a big hit for the time, and it was the movie that kicked off the MCU. So it did have a lot of success riding on it. I mean, it was the coattails on which everything else was built. So it was of course, it definitely deserves a lot of recognition. It's really cool, kind of cool. A lot of how they did Iron Man's arc. The first movie ends with him saying, I am Iron Man. And of course, Iron Man's story ends with him saying, I am Iron Man. And so I love how they kind of tied that bow back together. But what do you guys think about Iron Man making it here at number 5? Kev, you think it's the right spot for it?
I mean, I guess in the sense of importance, it does. I wouldn't put it this high. I think it's like a 9 or 10er for me. Yeah, if that. But I mean, it. And again, if I look at this with the time it's made, I think like it definitely has some problematic sort of points and views for sure. But I mean, it's 2008, right? Like you're talking about the same year that some other movies came out, but we won't. But yeah, I just think. I think it's I think it's a little high for me. I get like the importance, the significance of the MCU, but I think if we're just grading them just solely based on how they are as a movie, I think it's like lower on the 9 if it makes a top 10 at all, in my opinion.
Interesting.
Yeah.
No, I can see, I don't know. I can definitely like when you compare it to movies that came out in 2008, especially the Christopher Nolan series on the DC side. Like
Yeah.
it was competing with a lot at the time that it was there.
Dark Knight.
Um,
Dark Knight. Like no one was competing with Dark Knight. If we're being
right, no one's
honest.
competing with Dark Knight.
Yeah.
Kev, what do you? Or sorry, Jake, what do you think? Is 5 a good spot for Iron Man?
I mean, I thought Iron Man was really good. It's a great MCU movie. It literally started it all. So I get why it's so high. I definitely see why some of the ones that edged above it have edged above it over time because they're just, given time, they're better movies, right? And so as far as like if we're talking about the fun level,
Yeah.
But I think like if I'm adding in historical relevance, 5 makes sense to me.
Yeah, no, I think so. I think there's a lot that rode on the coattails that Iron Man put out there, and it's good to see it on the countdown for sure. Number 4 in the countdown, though, Kev, is a pretty iconic one, and probably it deserved at least a high spot in here. So I'm glad to see it make the list. What do you think about number 4 in the countdown, Kev?
At number 4, we have Black Panther, and it was a movie, for lack of better words, for the culture. And aside from that, it was just a fantastic movie in general. Just the sort of the dichotomy of what it means to be an African American, as well as what could have been for Africa had colonialism not been a thing. And then just a lot of these sort of hidden undertones and messaging throughout the film about Black culture, Black produced, Black directed, and the list goes on. And there's, aside from all of that, like a lot of these sort of wonderful representation milestones, I just think the film in general like tells a good story about, it makes you, like, for instance, the ending of the movie where it's like, yeah, Killmonger's pretty shitty, but he wasn't wrong, right? It's kind of like the Thanos approach, like he was like this movie I think does a great job of sort of navigating a lot of gray areas within like the I guess between the antagonist and protagonist, as well as the sort of gray areas and literal black and white world of like race.
Yeah.
And I just think the cultural significance aside, this to me is a fantastic movie. And I actually, objectively speaking, like it's one of my like favorite Marvel movies for sure, and I think I had it here on my list as in my top 10 at 3 or 4. Yeah.
No, I think that it definitely deserves a spot in the top 5 for sure, and I think that it's good to see it this high up given what everything else has been put up there. It's definitely glad to see that it's here. But Jake, what do you think about Black Panther making number 4 in the countdown?
Oh, like Kev said, it was one of the most important movies for the culture. We had to have Black Panther, and the reason why, like, I get why it's number 4. It's a good movie. I mean, Chadwick Boseman, rest in peace. It was one of the better MCU films to come out, like, overall, just because, honestly, it launched the character of Black Panther and just made such a cool kind of like inclusive hero in a time that I think we really needed that.
Yeah.
And so like I think Black Panther really, I get why it's so high on the list. I get why it's so fondly remembered, and I think it should be.
Yeah.
Also, that soundtrack.
Oh, fucking yeah. It's on up there with one of my personal favorites, Guardians of the Galaxy. Which I'm not gonna say if it's on the list or not because we're not there, but whatever.
Right.
Get there eventually.
You will tell us what number 3 is on the countdown, though, because you do have number 3. So
number 3 on this week's countdown is Avengers: Infinity War. You guys definitely liked this one, which I think we all did. And so Avengers: Infinity War, obviously one of the most badass Avenger movies to ever come out. We saw some pretty incredible fight scenes in that one. I think the only better Marvel fight scenes were probably in what's going to be number 2 in this one, but I don't want to jump the ship right now. You know what I mean? But just one of the best MCU movies as far as like a spectacle on screen overall. And so I definitely get why Infinity War is number 3 on the list. But what do you guys think? A little too high, too low?
Infinity War definitely needs to be on here. I think that honestly,
very glad it's on here. It was getting a little dicey.
Yeah, it's getting a little dicey. Infinity War definitely needed to be on here. It was one of the biggest crossover events of all time. You know, and I think that deserves a good mention there. It took us through a lot of emotional ups and downs, so I'm glad to see Infinity War made the countdown. Um,
Yeah, I had
but
it too. I
yeah,
had
let's
it too.
you had it at two. You had it at two.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, you have number two. So why don't you
Yes,
tell
I
us what
do.
number two is on? And this is y'all's countdown, nerd herd. Okay, y'all
Yeah.
raging in chat there. You voted
Yo.
for this.
Yeah.
This is
Yes.
democracy in action. So
Yes.
tell
Yeah.
what democracy put as number two.
It's something I don't understand, considering what's at number three. Avengers Endgame. It's. I mean, it was the end game, right? Like, it was a
Right.
fantastic movie.
Yeah.
Maybe a little too long. You know, it's about the length of across a half country flight. You know, and there were some, I guess, maybe some sort of time paradoxes that wouldn't have made sense to your, you know, theoretical physics out there. But you know, it's was sort of the swan song and send off of the MCU as a whole. I think they did a good job putting the bow on it and wrapping it up how they did. However, just I think the overall delivery to me was what I didn't like this Thanos, and I think in this movie compared to Infinity War, and I think that's why I didn't have it so high on this list. I think I had it like middle of the road, maybe.
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah,
I liked Endgame. I thought Endgame was
I did too.
solid. I mean, I thought
Yeah.
it was a lot of fun. You know, it was
Yeah.
a big emotional roller coaster for all of
Yeah.
us. Everyone walked out of
Yeah.
it crying. I think I remember after everyone saw Endgame, there was always the picture of them in their car afterwards with tears down their face. I just watched Endgame. You know,
Yeah.
like that was
Well,
the whole reaction to it. And I think any kind of movie that can cause that kind of cultural phenomenon, just like Infinity War did before it, is worthy of one of the best movies in that franchise.
Yeah.
no, it was
Yeah.
it was a really good one. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yep. All right.
Oh man.
So we got number one on this countdown. Jake
Don't
made me
sound-
say it. Okay. Y'all pick this one, but y'all voted as the number one movie in the Marvel universe is Captain Marvel. All right. I'm not saying Captain Marvel is bad, right? I'm not saying it's a bad movie. I think it's a great movie. Do I think it's the best movie in the MCU? No, I do not think that that's the case, but y'all voted for this. This is the very, very first issuance of Carol Danvers as basically the Superman of the MCU, or Superwoman, if we may put there. Chat is going nuts.
Yeah.
But this
Everybody. That's who voted Captain Marvel. They're asking who voted for that. Everybody. It was a demanding top pick.
It
Like, I'm
wasn't
not
even
gonna say-
close, by the
I'm
way.
not gonna say we got trolled or anything like that. Like,
Yeah.
I'm not saying this is a McBoat face situation or anything, right? Like, but
beat
if-
Endgame by 10.5 points.
yeah,
Like,
beat the shit out of
even close.
Endgame. Yeah, like it wasn't even close.
it wasn't even close. Like, this is what you guys voted solidly as
Yeah.
as the best Marvel movie out there. And again, I think it's a good movie. I do not think it is. I would
Yes.
probably switch number 10 and number 1 if it was me.
Yes. Yeah.
Captain Marvel's not even in the top 10. This
yeah,
movie,
no.
in my opinion, we got trolled, and I don't want this to come across as kind of like, you know, like, because trust me, I get all of the unjust hate for Captain Marvel, because there is a lot of it.
Yeah.
Right? There's a
Yes.
lot of it that's just fucking shrouded
Right.
in
It's not a
misogyny.
bad movie.
And yeah, like it's not a bad movie. But if I'm ranking my top 10 MCU film, it's just not in it. You know,
Yeah.
and I don't mean that it's a bad one. Most Marvel movies are good.
don't
I
think
saw
any-
this one in
any in
theaters.
that
I enjoyed
phase-
it. You know,
any-
like it's
Any in the in-between phase of Infinity War
Right.
and Endgame were really not that good of movies. Like, all
Right.
of them were there. And I
Yeah.
think
It's probably not a bad Marvel movie
my
outside
number
of
one's
Iron
Guardians
Man
of the
3 and
Galaxy, and
Dark
it didn't
World.
even make the top 10. So there you go.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
my number one was Guardians. It didn't even make the top 10.
Guardian.
The fact that it's not even on the list.
Yeah, the fact that Captain Marvel's here and Guardians isn't even on the list
Is it
definitely
Chris Pratt's fault? Is that why I didn't make the list?
Oh, how far he has fallen from grace! Am I right? Like,
Exactly.
Yeah.
Let's hope that we have a rise that's equal to Chris Pratt's fall. Because all must balance themselves out. Can we get the rebound from
meteoric?
Yeah.
From Chris Pratt's fall from grace. I hope so. Honorable mentions, all the ones that we really love. Sag broke his iPad. He's completely done.
Well, maybe if Sag didn't vote for Captain Marvel 20 times,
I know,
we didn't. We actually collected emails. Sag put Captain Marvel was his favorite movie, and he put it 10 times, guys. He voted 10 times.
I love now that we can just spam the Sag rage emote every time he rages, so that it's just like you can just see every time he's mad about something in chat. So
like Guardian, like it. I mean, I don't even think it was close. I don't even think it made. Yeah, I don't think Guardians of the Galaxy. No, oh my god, yeah, Guardians of the Galaxy and the Guardians of the Galaxy 2 were like bottom. Like,
no, they were pretty far down, which is crazy.
Yeah,
I mean, Guardians 2, I get it. That one's shaky. At best, it's an okay movie. Like I said,
Ant-Man and the Wasp.
Ant-Man,
Ant-Man was almost in the top 10, guys. It was.
It was. Ant-Man was actually in the top 10 as of this morning, and we left voting open. We left voting open until post noon. And a few more voters came in and pushed Ant-Man out. And so, like, Ant-Man was in this top 10.
Again, not a bad movie.
No one could be Captain Marvel. And at that point, Captain Marvel was going to make the top 10 regardless.
We literally held it open as long as we could, hoping that somebody would right this wrong, but no one did. So Captain Marvel's #1, and you're welcome, America.
Yeah, democracy in action. Well, that will wrap it up for this episode of Geek Life. We hope you've enjoyed everything today. And remember, if you want more Geek Life, you can always follow us on either. You can follow us on all of our personals. You can find me at Reese Bain on Twitter, Twitch, and TikTok. Jake, where can they find you?
You can find me at Gonzo Gone Live on both the Twitter and the Twitch verses. Yeah. Not the metaverse yet. I'll be there.
Not the metaverse yet. But Kev, where can they find you?
Oh, they can't find me. Not after this list. You're not gonna know. You can find me at Totally Awesome.
Yeah. And you can also check out additional Geek Life content on YouTube and Instagram, links to which can be found in the description below. Link in bio, LinkTree. Go check it out. There's lots of cool stuff there, and our Spotify, all kinds of cool stuff. A big shout out to our moderator Littlest Nelly and our video producer Cape. Big anti shout out to Cape's internet connection from Alabama. Fuck you for interacting with the stream, but hey, Cape, it's not Cape's fault. It's just shitty internet out there. Anyways, thank you guys so much to all of our followers: the Fattest Sacks, Extreme Greatness, Littlest Nelly, Savage Patch Kid, Supersonic Flash, Greatest Pistachio, Sad Gaming. Thank you guys so much for coming out here. We really appreciate it. Thank you for raging with everyone on this countdown. We super appreciate it. Thank you for voting in the countdown. Don't know why you put Captain Marvel at #1, but I guess you guys just wanted us to talk about it.
We get it. I mean, you just loved it so much.
You gave us content. I'm gonna have to send out. We'll figure out another poll. This was great and terrible at the same time.
Oh yeah. We'll definitely start doing more of these where we ask you guys what your favorite picks are, and do it that way. But also quick shout out to our sponsors. We forgot to shout them out all show. Swift Lifestyles. Use code GETGEEK at swiftlifestyles.com for 15% off your purchase. You can get all kinds of cool stuff from powders to energy drink.
Geeked up.
Get geeked. Get geeked. Swift Lifestyles, the links there in chat right there. Thank you, Littlest Nelly. We'll be back in 2 weeks, hopefully. This next one might be a little bit rough, y'all. So bear with us. Pay attention to the Discord in case we aren't able to make that. But we should be back same time, same place next week for all the nerdy news you need to know. Until then, guys, that's all I got.
Peace.
Catch you later.
Peace. Go watch Captain Marvel.
Okay, look, the kid's gonna want a shiny, okay? And it's gonna take a lot of eggs to get there, so let me just